Hello, and welcome to Target Audience. This is Perfect Search Media's new interview series where we're going to be talking to a couple of marketing experts to get their insights, their advice, and maybe a couple of fun answers as well. Today, we are so excited to speak with Drew Brucker from the VP of Growth Marketing at LASSO.
I started my career in sports management on the sales side of the house. Didn't know really anything about marketing at that time. And as I kind of got deeper and deeper into the sales world, I just realized there was really no passion there. I mean, it just kind of felt too transaction oriented. But with the case with a lot of professionals, I think you get exposed to certain things. And I tried to really try a lot of different stuff. And I got exposed to marketing and really someone took a chance on me. This is where I wanted to be. I saw marketing as this thing that's going to change and change quickly, but also something that I could really feel passionate about to dive into further. I think what's gotten me there is the willingness to learn, be curious, ask questions, and really not settle for anything. And so to constantly be pushing on, the ceiling of potential and opportunity for myself. And that's sort of what landed me where I am today. New privacy feature within Apple and email, right? So privacy as a whole, right, is kind of a hot topic right now. A lot of free will has been surrendered online, and now I feel like a lot of people, a lot of folks are fighting to get some of that back. And it'll just be interesting now that pendulum has swung over here, how that starts to go back the other way. So I think that's one thing that I have my eye on. Also really intrigued about how AI is going to integrate in with marketing, how that affects strategies, tactics, SEO. I think those two things are closely aligned. And what does SEO look like? The personalization that occurs. One pathway that I went down relatively recently was sort of this customized organic dog food, and those brands are out there competing very heavily for that market right now. But, the personalization that occurs within that, what's your pet's name? What's their weight? What kind of breed? What's their diet? What do you want them to look like? What food do they enjoy? And it's really like that tailored custom experience for your dog. And just in general, humanizing that dog industry space, the humanization of dogs, is such a moneymaker. People are really willing to invest in that. And as a dog lover, why wouldn't you? I have a lot of these, and I go back to a few that I think have really helped me put things into perspective. One, you're going to encounter a lot of different things of which you've never experienced before. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. You want, as a person, but also people on your team, to ask questions. No one got to where they are today without help along the way. Just didn't happen, right? Don't be afraid to ask. And on the flip side of that, return the favor. So I think that's one thing that I always go back to. The other thing is really more internally focused. Don't take yourself too seriously. Plenty of brilliant people out there started in jobs they hated, me, and took paths that weren't right at the beginning of their careers. Also me. Professional development is no longer linear. It's an ongoing thing. It comes in many shapes and sizes, and trust that with hard work and dedication, you're going to figure it out. And you will. The universe has a great way of making those things happen. There are a lot of words that are probably just cringeworthy at this state, right? I mean, you just hear them over and over, day in and day out. Things like deep dive, 30,000 foot view, circle back, drill down, lean in, move left, right, up, down. I mean, the list is endless. But the one thing that I want to maybe really drive some attention toward is it's interesting because that kind of lingo allows people to speak the same language, right? It almost takes those differences and brings them together into one communication style that everyone can kind of participate in and provides the context that you're not missing. And so I think the origin of that is important. However, there is a sacrifice being made there, and that is around authenticity and personality. I think people are quick to kind of just go down that path, and it almost sounds too robotic. Striking the right balance is important. I mean, we want to speak the same language, provide that context, but at the same time, we want to be true to ourselves, and we don't want to be a robot. We hear that enough. I mean, it's just, you got to be yourself. When I'm on any social media network or any website, I'm evaluating everything both from a consumer lens and a marketer's lens. I mean, I really am thinking about that in two different segments. How does this strike me as a consumer? How does this strike me as a marketer? Is there anything that maybe I can adopt in my role or avoid in my role? Are there any lessons there to take away? So it's not one thing particularly. I would say it's a more holistic picture there, that anytime I'm opening anything up, if I see a great, email subject line, if I see a great creative ad, if I see a great campaign, like I'm noting those things in my head. I'm evaluating them. I'm analyzing them. So that's sort of like a table stakes for daily life for me. In terms of distraction, it's much more simple and a little bit more personality driven. I mean, I love sports. So for distraction, I'm focused on NFL, Major League Baseball, college basketball. I have a knack for fantasy football. I'll pound the table on that right now. I know a lot of people will say they're good at fantasy football, but I've been very good. So I enjoy that. And for distraction, it's much more hobby focused. I also love photography and design. And so, I'm constantly looking for inspiration on those two tracks as well. My grandmother is really getting up there in age, but we have a very close relationship. She's very involved in asking about how things are going at work, what I'm doing. And so I just had this question with her the other day. And I think the easiest way to break it down was, you remember when you used to look something up in the yellow pages or, to find what you were looking for? Well, this is like that, except you go on to the internet and you type it in instead of looking through a book, and you type it into something like Google, and it gives you the best results. You ain't got to flip through, all these different pages. And so it tailors that result to what you're looking for in a technology driven way. So I would say that's like the basic of how I would boil it down. I feel like Mad Men would just be tremendous to experience. I don't know in terms of the likelihood of sticking that out or what that career path will look like, if that's got any sticking power, but I just, going back to that era, wild, wild west of marketing, advertising, the golden age of advertising even, and then some of the personalities that were, showcased in that show, I think are especially intriguing. This is less of a workplace, but how could you not say like Harry Potter, and just that environment, right? Wands, magic, monsters, scenery, mystery. I'm in on that. I wasn't ready for that one. What did they call the game they played, but the ball, right? What was the name for that?
Quidditch? Yeah,
Quidditch. But what was the actual ball itself called?
The Golden Snitch.
The Golden Snitch. That's what I would love to market. Absolutely. It's already got a killer name. Golden. Who doesn't love gold? Easy. This is truthful. I really haven't had any weird things that stick out that would like shock you or even embarrass myself. Like I really don't, but I will say I love watching that happen for other people. When I go on the search engine and I start if I know I'm doing a long tail keyword search, I will always stop after the second or third word to see what else comes up. Perfect example of that, right, was the other day I typed in never put, and I had a goal, but I stopped there, and I think like some of the results were never put down a healthy dog, never put a sock in a toaster, never put new shoes on a table, like just the most crazy stuff. And then to see the numbers behind it, the actual volume behind it, it's laughable. I almost don't believe it, but people really incriminate themselves on there. If I'm narrowing down to one song, and I'm going to give you one, and I don't think you're going to expect it, but if you know, you know. It's going to be the 80s hit from Eddie Murphy, Party All the Time, with Rick James as a feature. Hands down, not debatable for me. This was a pleasure being on the show. And, Kyle, I think these were awesome questions, and thanks for letting me share.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.